Here's the story of 2020. It was a year for us to live in sync.
So many things that need our understanding. It's time for us to think. It's the story of fellow humans who were busy with lives of their own, but they thought of bringing us together, and we can watch from home. We can all make this world much better. It's about what we're willing to confront. So sit back and enjoy the conversation of these rainbow warriors called the Queer Bunch. The Queer Bunch. The Queer Bunch. It's a great day to watch the Queer Bunch.
Welcome to the Queer Bunch. Hello, hosts. You will see that we have Kelly is not with us. She is traveling, I believe. So we have guest host Cameron. Hey, how are you?
I am great. How are you guys?
We are. I don't know. What about you? I'm doing fabulous. What about you? Nuepa, Kenny.
Yeah, always doing fabulous. And Nuepa?
So good, so good. Very exhausted from work, but I found my second wind. It's a double espresso right beside me.
And Kenny, master.
I'm in a world of hurt these days all the time. It's all good. We're still fighting a good fight down here and dealing with the fallout of our 2026 provincial budget as per usual.
We talked about that, folks, on the last episode. Check it out. There's a lot happening in Eastern Canada where Kenny is fighting the good fight.
The revolution will be televised or something.
That note on the bright side, though, Kenny, that note was beautifully hit.
Thanks.
Lovely vibrato. Oh my God. You need to get into the business.
I was going to say, let's check in with, because we're all a bunch of artists except for Kenny, but it looks like he's going to join us. He just hit the note.
I'm a theater kid. What can I say? Jazz hands.
What's happening with you musically? Let's see what was just a quick check-in. Can you please
Yeah. So it's coming up on a month since I've released Fuzzies, so I'm still promoting that. But I do have a song coming up within the coming weeks, and I won't do any snippets, but it's called 2007. So
you never stop.
Yeah. No.
I'm still waiting for you to cover Never Giving Up, but I'll keep waiting.
You'll get it, I
What
promise.
happened in 2007, Nuepa? What happened in 2007?
What did it?
I don't know. I couldn't really say. Yeah.
You'll have to listen to the song to find out.
Exactly.
Yes.
Friend, how busy are you these days with well, you're always busy.
I was just going to say, busy is my middle name nowadays. With I have a bunch of jobs, but music-wise, I'm in the recording and releasing stage literally at the same time, which has been a little bit of a overwhelm, but it's a good feeling to be busy in that way when it's things you're passionate about. So I have my newest single, which is called Lights On, which is coming out on May 4th, which is a Monday. Hey, feeling cool, feeling creative, feeling different. Like I'm not but it's my birthday, so we were like, let's just put this right on your birthday. So yeah, I'm like teasing things like crazy. It's very sad. I mean, I was gonna say very different, but all my stuff is sad. But it's just, I don't know. It's like a new aesthetic vibe, so I'm excited.
It's a sad with sweet. I love the hair, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You always got something happening there with the hair.
Yeah, it's no crazy colors right now.
I love it.
And love a Taurus. I knew I liked you.
Thanks.
Anything new? Oh, well, you already kind of mentioned, but what else?
For Kenny?
Yeah, Kenny.
Oh, me. Sorry. What's new? So we've got Outfest happening here this month in April. So I'm doing lots of podcast episode chats with folks from the music stage, the comedy stage, and those who are presenting new works, theater works. So Got some episodes coming up with the folks who've created Camp Menzies, which is a really interesting show. Michelle Bright and Elm Reyes from Toronto have created this in-depth, using clown kind of practices to talk about menstruation and all of the horrors that go with it, but all of the excitement that comes along with it too. It's really interesting. So that's coming up soon. But yeah, lots of that, and we're getting in close to Pride. So working with different Pride organizations to see what we can do and how I can support them and help them out.
You are lovely. Thank you. I guess for me, I'm still working on Troll Behind Your Screen, my push against the trolls online. And it's shaping up nicely into like a very chanty, very kind of marching. I'm working with this exciting Brazilian producer, so I'm coming up with a cool sound. I'm going to film a music video for Tell the Stranger, which is still doing. And yeah, Elena and I are going to film a music video. I'm going to direct and do a lot of work behind the scene as well. I'm working on curating the Q Musical Music Festival in July at Sankofa Square, and the Q Music Awards is going to happen at the same time. So yeah, and I've been dealing with some family stuff too, but when the time is right, I really want to dive in and write my 14-track romance album. That's what's keeping me kind of motivated to get to that point.
Did you choose 14 songs because the International Day of Love is February 14th? Is that why you chose 14?
Oh my God, no! But I'm gonna write that down and save it.
Yes, you totally always meant it that way.
Oh my God! Thanks for that idea.
Always thinking.
I'm gonna be like thanking you on every interview in the future. But no, actually it's funny. No, it's because it's a full story. I'm gonna write it in chronological order about somebody from a casual meeting all the way to doubts, falling in love, and then getting proposed to.
Oh, I love it.
We'll see what happens.
Heated rivalry light.
Ooh.
So yeah, we're going to take a little break, but before we do that, catch up with the last couple of episodes of the Queer Bunch Season 5 on YouTube. We talked about a queer Canadian look at what's happening in the US and a queer Canadian look at the music industry. But for this episode, and if you noticed, I put on my glasses rather than put on contact lenses, and I don't care about your judgment because what got me to suggest this topic for our host for this episode was an item that I saw online with Barry Coogan, sharing how much abuse he's been getting online and how it's affecting him to the point that he doesn't want to step outside or go to events. And my heart just broke. I thought, I can't imagine that we do this to each other to the point that somebody doesn't want to be in reality. Since then, I've been reading a lot of articles and studies on the harm that we do to ourselves and each other regarding beauty standards. So this episode is a Canadian queer look at beauty standards, and we will be right back after this break. Welcome back to the Queer Bunch. Hey! And we got our lovely host, Cameron, our guest host today, and Kenney and Nuepa, the regulars. I'm going to read something for you folks. Jennifer Aniston previously said that she can't stand being told you look great for your age in a 2023 interview with British Vogue. Commenting on someone's look, she says, that's a habit of society that we have these markers like you look great for your age, we're at that stage, so you have to look this way. I don't even understand what it means. Commenting on someone's looks, whether in relation to age or weight, reinforces the belief that someone's appearance is the most important thing about them. Dr. Elizabeth Wassenaar, Regional Medical Director at the Eating Recovery Center, previously told USA Today. These comments about how our body is acceptable or unacceptable, it reinforces again that you are not worth more than your body, and that you have to present yourself a certain way for the world to find you acceptable, she said. It just reinforces that sort of superficial, body-focused idea that we know is so painful and harmful for every single one of us, because we are so much more than this vessel that carries us. Bean says better alternatives include options like, "It's always so great to see you. You have such a great energy. I always look forward to our conversations." These non-appearance-based compliments are great because they focus on qualities and connection, not what a person looks like, she explained. So, that's our starter for our conversation today. Any thoughts on all of that? But it's going to be part of the bullet points too that we're going to look at. Does anybody have any feelings on what I just read?
I would kick off by saying I get the age thing. And I think that so as I hurtle towards 60, it is, there's a mental gymnastics thing that happens within me, because mentally I feel like I'm probably in my mid-20s because I'm crazy. But when I look at myself, what I see and when I notice things, it's not necessarily because I think it's bad. I think it's in relation to the expectation of what, other people may be seeing when they look at me. And then, of course, doing things like this and having to edit your face and things like that, you become so hard on yourself because of you don't look a certain way, because you think you have to look a certain way for it to be acceptable to be on this screen.
That's exactly, I guess that's spot on. Anybody else? I do have a conversation starter, unless somebody has something to.
I was just gonna say that I feel like there's also, as a woman, like all this pressure to like prevent aging, and you have this you have aging cream, and you have like a light mask that you can put it on your face, and you don't have these wrinkles. When I feel like we're running away from like what's natural, when really aging is a privilege that not everybody gets.
Yeah, I teared up.
I love, just to backpedal on that for a second, Cameron, I think that is an awesome thing to say about that. It is a privilege that not everybody gets, because not everybody makes it to certain ages. And as we age, it is a little bit of a, our badge of honor type thing. Our wrinkles are, means that we have made it through so many different things, but not everybody gets there.
Having lost my brother at 37 has cemented that in my head. I'm lucky to be alive. So yeah. Beauty. Okay, so conversation starters. Just like we're gonna draw cards. Beauty standards. Where do we first remember feeling them? Good question.
I would say media. Sorry to jump in there, but I would say media, and because like family, yes, maybe a little bit, but I would say mostly media and then school, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I have the exact memory, but Kenney, you were saying something.
I was going to say, for me, it wasn't necessarily about the beauty. It was more about not being masculine enough, the way that other boys were growing up in school, because I was a theater nerd and I was a geek, but I was also who I am, which is I can be flighty. I can sound like a Muppet at any given moment. I wasn't deemed masculine enough. And that made me feel like I couldn't, run with the other guys, that I was this subsect of boy.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. Kenny, like that. I felt that through almost like a lens of like not necessarily beauty, but like body, right? And it was very much like, because I didn't know that I felt ugly, right? I just knew that I felt different and that different was bad. Because I was always I am a larger person, and I was always a larger kid. Oh my God, I think in high school I got up almost like 260, 270. And I'm like about at the time, like 5'9", 5'10", right? So, and the thing is, like, I did sports, I did martial arts, like, it would just like, I would, even as a kid, I remember being in the class and they would be pairing us off for like sparring. And then they were putting me and with somebody else. And then the other instructor said, no, he's too fast. But what do you think that I heard? I heard them say, no, he's too fat. And I ended up like crying, leaving the class. And I was convinced that I heard that. And my mom even went and like basically chewed off the instructor's head over nothing really. But,
But it
affects the way. Of course. Yeah. It's just, you see things that way and you're predisposed to see others' views of you before they even speak. So
I am lucky that it changed for me at some point. But when I was a kid back in Kuwait, my sisters, a lot of her friends were bullies. They would keep calling me skeleton, to the point that I started going to the beach wearing a long sleeved shirt and long pants, and started wanting to go out with family and just sit at home reading. And then I got that the first time in a gay club here, when I heard somebody whisper, "He looks like a chemo patient." I did not let it stop me. A few weeks later, I went to the barn. Whoever remembers the barn here, I think Nuepa probably, and I saw all those wonderful. Yes, there's a lot of judgment in our community, but I saw all those wonderful people dancing, and bears and skinny ones, and everybody taking their shirts off and like hairy and all that. And it's like, oh fuck it! I took my shirt off, went to the middle of the dance floor, and I thought, you know what? I'm not gonna care. I'm not gonna spend the rest of my life trying to figure out whether I'm good enough for somebody else. Not that I still don't. We're all affected by the beauty standard, whether we say it or not.
And I was sorry to jump in. I was just about to say that like all these stories are showing us that like beauty standards is not just a female issue. Even like when you're talking about male stigma and like height difference, or like you said, weight, how somebody dresses, not presenting in this like effortlessly masculine way. And it happens to everybody. And that can, it can be linked to that body insecurity and that pressure and, the fitness culture for men and,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So it's everywhere.
It's a very good observation. We have to know that it affects all of us, because I had to look buff in order for the buff guys to want me. Like we're all affected by it.
Sorry. I just want to do one more thing. And then we have our non-binary people who are then having this like both binaries being like, you have to be this way. No, you have to be this way. No, you have to be what we see a non-binary person look like, act like, dress like. So then there's that aspect to it as well.
Yes. Yeah. And although I don't represent it, I did want to also bring up the lens of all of these things, like what is considered masculine, feminine, and all these standards. A lot of them are extremely Eurocentric, and things like even the BMI scale is not. It's very much like certain white Europeans from a specific place. So for racialized folks, like all of this stuff hits even harder in many aspects. And there's different things of like what masculinity or heterosexuality and the perceived sort of gender expression of people means in Black communities and brown communities, immigrant families. There's all so many things that factor into that on top of course, that. And of course, obviously, like, we don't necessarily have somebody specifically here on the panel right now, but I wanted to mention it. Just because, of course, folks will be listening.
Cameron, from what you mentioned too, there's a word that has always made me just kind of just shrink up and kind of go like, oh, and that's passable. When you're talking about non-binary and trans individuals, that word, and I don't know, I have never heard it from an actual trans person, or that they love that word, but I can only imagine it makes someone feel like if you're not, if you don't fit into something that is deemed passable, like that just sounds so ugly to me to use that word.
Don't start me. I know a number of trans folks, friends who are so gun shy about being out there, and because that's what they hear, or that's what they are conditioned to hear, that if you're passable, you're more you're more accepted, kind of thing.
Yeah.
There was. I'm actually curious. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say there was a thing that they used to do, because being a bit older, they don't do this anymore. It's like, geez, I hope they don't. When I was in school, one of the things that we would hear every now and then when we were in gym class that sent just shockwaves through a lot of us was shirts or skins. And when you're going through puberty and somebody says, okay, skins, you always want the shirts, because you were so self-conscious about having to take off your shirt and be on that team, because you knew immediately who you were up against, about those other boys who were thin, right? I was a chubby kid, always was, but that was just something I was like, they never thought about it, but for us, it was just like terrifying.
Whoa. Heavy. The next conversation starter, actually, I think we addressed it, but I'll just mention body expectations: too skinny, too big, too hairy, too smooth. Masculinity, femininity, how they shape expectations and appearances of our appearances. So yeah, anybody want to expand on any of that?
I do want to say that with the point about like the term passing, I was just curious if anybody's familiar with the term fish. Right, it's used almost interchangeably. It's very much like a ballroom / drag term, and I don't know. Like, I know it's still in use today, but it's probably been in a lot more use previous. So I'm just kind of curious where the line is there, because it's funny how there's like specific beauty standards specific to drag queens, where it's this sort of like, even though like nowadays it's become a lot more open to where anybody can sort of be accepted as a drag queen. But it's used in that world. And is that okay? Fish is basically just means like you are giving woman, right? Like if you are doing a drag look or something. But the thing is, it's used interchangeably for like non-binary folks and trans folks. And I feel like it's very contextual to friend groups, but I don't know. I'm unaware of, I guess, the impacts on a larger scale. I'm just curious if anybody had encountered that before, because it's another version of passable.
I've known somebody. I've never heard the term at all.
Fish? No.
Yeah, no.
Neither.
I would say I think it's something that maybe subculture wise may have been kind of out there at one point in time, but I think because drag has changed so much that you have different I guess genres of drag now, right? Where you have beauty queens, and look queens, but you also have your got mix and those types of just basically gender fucking everything and saying doesn't matter, anything kind of goes, which I think is awesome. That I think that maybe there was probably an evolution there. I'm recently watching Legendary, the ballroom reality show that was out, and there's a lot of terminology that gets kind of thrown around there that if you're not really involved in it, you have to kind of go and look that stuff up, because sometimes it's so innate to that community that if you're not really versed in it, right, you're like, what? And you don't know if you should use it or not.
Our next conversation starters revolves around the pressure around aging, especially in queer spaces, and the idea that we're not allowed to age, or only allowed to age gracefully, whatever that means. So yeah, I really, really appreciate what Jennifer is saying because to me it sounds at any age, like even when you were 30 or 40 and somebody says to you, you look good for your age, like what am I supposed to look? Am I supposed to look haggard? Am I supposed to look like what does that mean? I know you want to be complimentary, but it doesn't sound complimentary to me. It sounds more like expectations. Make sense? I don't know.
I wonder.
He wants to say something.
I can always
I
say
mean,
something. But what I would say is that, and I think that I'm fortunate in the sense that I'm coming up on almost 30 years of being in a relationship. So I haven't been in that world for a really long time.
Okay.
So for me, even though I still have hangups, I have somebody who's beside me that always kind of, brings me back and grounds me back to earth. But what I see is my friends going through it, especially my female friends sometimes, who think that because, it's like watching somebody create an avatar for themselves for a dating app and stressing about it so much because knowing that picture that they're going to pick may be the make or break for somebody swiping or whatever it is that we're doing. And that to me is that's anxiety inducing just to know that somebody's going through that. But I think women especially are really and I think young gay men too, but I think women have always been feeling the brunt of the world saying, if you don't fit in, it's like, being able to walk through the cardboard Barbie cutout. If you can't fit through it, you don't get to ride the ride in a sense, right? And I think women have always felt that because women have children, their bodies change. They go through so much more than men do physically, in the natural course of their life. But we just assume that they want to be this image versus they're just trying to live. Do you know what I mean?
Any hosts have thoughts on this?
Well, I would say, Kenney, it's incredibly troubling that there is this hyperfixation on youth. And like, it's not even on youth, actually. Like, youth is a mindset and an attitude, but it's such a weird fixation to have on someone having more like childlike or adolescent-like traits. There's something deeply up about that, right? So I don't know. That's always kind of like, I don't know. We got to raise our kids better.
I definitely agree. The looking younger, looking youthful, it just, as a woman, like we were saying, it feels weird. And it's just tying that like worth to attraction. It's like, or worth to beauty when like I feel like beauty is such an arbitrary term. It's like what does like I find beauty in the mud sometimes. I'll find beauty in water. I'll find like do you know what I mean? Like there's beauty in everything. And why are we attaching that to certain things and then attaching that to being worthy as a person? Yeah.
Okay.
It's like they're romanticizing the sexual prime of people, like especially like men and women. But I think women receive the brunt of it as kind of the side effect of that being sold to men because they're constantly, men always want to believe, especially heterosexual men, they always want to believe that they're in their sexual prime and that they're powerful. And it comes from a place of power for sure. So I'm wondering if maybe the selling to them of that includes women as sort of like not even the byproduct, the literal product. And so the women are taught to, I guess, just try to be that, aspire to that, which is really depressing.
Put my thoughts together about this. After the Oscars, there was a million articles of everybody commenting about somebody's Botox or facelift or whatever, and I really don't. I think actually that's really horrible that we spend our time trying to use our media channels to talk about people's looks, and if they want to Botox or do whatever the hell they want to do, It's their prerogative. It's up to them. Um, it's two things. I hope that they're not doing it because they are probably doing it because of society's pressure. If you're doing it because you want to feel a certain way about yourself, go fucking ahead. I don't care. Do it for yourself. But if you're doing it for somebody else, then that becomes where the problem lies, is we're making people do things to themselves because we're putting pressures on them.
And I think the root of the pressure, where it's like, yes, if you want to do it, do it. It's all like all good. But also like we have to dig into like where is that cycle of like why do they want to do it? And it's like because we have not we, but society, media, everything has reinforced, oh, you have small lips, you need bigger lips, or you need this or whatever. So yes, I do also agree, like you do what you want to do. I am like the advocate for that.
Oh,
But also like looking at the bigger cycle of the picture, it's like, why do they want to do
yeah.
that? And
Okay.
it's like because of what we're putting out there.
Um, are they doing it because you're not going to get a role at 70 and you're not going to be considered hot or sexy? Because if you let yourself look the way you're supposed to look naturally, then that's going to be the outcome of it. You can't dance or put new music like Madonna or Cher unless you looked a certain way because we can't sell you to the fucking consumers, kind of thing.
Well,
And
I mean,
I
that's a good example for all of the three of you, right? Who make music. I mean, I'm in nonprofit, like nonprofit and
I
advocacy.
got
We're all haggard, but you know, the three of you are in music, and if you go to think about a music video and
a
creating
lot
a
of
music video, there's probably a lot more that goes into it other than just where am I going to do this, right? Because those voices get in your head. Sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I throw on a filter here and there. So,
yeah. And
we're
I
gonna talk- yeah.
I was just gonna talk about like how we when we're talking about the beauty standards and the aging, we need more celebrities and influencers and musicians and everything challenging the stereotypes and putting themselves out there. And like I think immediately about Pamela Anderson, these are two queer
Mhm.
people, not queer people, but Pamela Anderson who like is totally rejecting like makeup and she's just like doing all her things and she's like, I'm doing it natural because that's how I look. And then I think about like Jamie Lee Curtis, who I love, who speaks very openly about aging and how like I look the way I look and I love my wrinkles and I'm not going to get surgery and blah blah blah. So I think we just need also more people in the industry and people who all of us are looking up to be able to step out and challenge things and be like, no, because that's paving the way of not even changing the standard, but like eliminating the standard. We're all different. Why is there this is what we should, or this is what's normal?
And then
2000 years ago, I don't know if it was normal, but to worry about that. Well, they didn't live long for 2000 years ago, but
But to add to that too, right? You think about body image and body size, especially too. There's when it comes to Hollywood, and I mean, it's a very different. I mean, it's great for us to sit here. I mean, Hollywood is like the driving force of so much of things. But when you think about it, it's kind of like, all right, our big girl today is going to be Lizzo. She
Mhm.
gets to be a part of the cool kids for a time being, right? And then she'll disappear, and then we're back to a certain thing, and then we'll allow somebody else to come in. Do you know what I mean? It's really weird that way that there has to be like the bit of tokenism, right? To say
Mhm.
that we embrace everybody. It's like, really, do you? I'm not 100% sure.
I
Well,
was
also with Lizzo, there's also part of that arc is the Monjarno or the Ozempic,
Yeah.
like part of it. So it's just like, wow, now we're gonna celebrate them some more because now they managed to break through when they were larger and now they're skinnier. So now they've truly got it all. Like it's like, no,
Mhm.
no.
And I was gonna say that like fatness is one of the most openly like socially acceptable forms like of discrimination
Yep.
in the way where I feel like fatness is one of the things that people are still like comfortable policing out loud. And when you go into comment sections and stuff, you see all the time fat or pig or cow or like whatever that is. And not a lot of people are commenting and saying, oh, this is fucked up and like blah, blah, blah. People are like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I think, and I've talked to Antoine about this before, like when we are talking about like body positivity and like a word I love is fat liberation. I know we've talked about this before, Antoine, but just realizing like the systemic bias that has went into it, and the oppression of fat people, and like they have less access to like clothing and like long distance and local transportation and like public spaces, insurance, medical care. Like there's so many things that go into it. And I think fat liberation is for all, because when like we are liberated, that's when like those beauty standards, yeah, can just like eliminate. And it's in the queer community. Like there still is that like thin centric like idolization, I guess. And like Nuepa was saying, and then it goes into like gender and it goes into race, and it just it's all feeding each other, the hate.
Mm.
Well, and the
Yeah.
capitalism too that comes along with it, right? The
I was gonna say, so-
capitalism of
yeah.
creating clothes because you want to be that size. And even if you go to certain, and there are a few that I know of who they don't carry extra larges because they don't want extra larges in their clothing. They want everyone who wears their clothing to look like it's a walking hanger.
I will drop it. Brandy Melville sells one size. It is one size fits all is what it says, but it's one size of who we want in this store. And the one on Queen West in Toronto has a line down the block. If you go down Queen West, I guarantee you there is a line outside that store.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That's my neighborhood. I've seen it.
Can you help me out? Do you know the group Anything But the Girl?
Yeah, my God, yeah, Tracy Thorn.
Okay, what's the name? What's the name of the big song?
Missing.
Yeah. I heard, and I don't know if it's a true story, that when they went to do the song, the executives said once they saw her, they said the song is fantastic, whatever, but anything but the girl, because she was a big girl. And I think that's where they kind of rebelled and named the group that.
There was something around that. I don't know if it was Tracy Thorn herself or if it was somebody else that was in there that they named the band after, but it does have to do with that.
With that, yeah.
But I mean, that goes back to so many different things. You know, we are, and I was saying this last night, that so much here in Canada, we are on the doorsteps of the United States, and we have benefited from entertainment, so much so that we will poo-poo our own, you know, creations here, or we did. We're starting to get better with it.
No, we're getting better. Yeah.
We're getting better. But that kind of American Hollywood lens has basically what we've seen the world through, and we've embraced it and said, oh yes, that please give us more, we want to be like that. But as we get older, we realize just how much that's wrong and how much we were, you know, basically steered towards. But it's hard when you have young people, and I think our youth are way more savvy today than we ever were, and I think they're getting so much smarter about these types of things. But still, it's a real challenge because emotionally they're being pelted with, this is what it means to be successful, this is what it means to be accepted, this is what it means to be safe. And that in itself is a real scary thing to put on youth, because they're just trying to be for right now.
I'm going to jump into another conversation starter. Social media, filters, editing, and the pressure to present perfection, and the impact of constant visual cultural apps, dating profiles. That is so bad. Like I said, I do throw on filter here and there, a little bit of tan, whatever. But there are friends or people that I know who the amount of filtering, I actually feel bad, because I feel like you really should not be doing that. You should not be putting this much filtering, because I know how you look like in real life, and it doesn't sit well, not in a judgment way, but more of how bad are we online that we get to a point where we all look fake online, basically.
You know what, though? I will say, not entirely contrary to that, but I will say that I think that there's definitely such without the proper like digital literacy and without the proper sort of emotional tools to discern these things, and of course with the proper age controls and like times when people can enter social media, especially I think around the formative years and like during puberty, it's like really not a great thing, and it can negatively affect it. But I think also with I think there are people who may even if like everything health wise is good and like they're living their best lives, like they may not be conventionally attractive, or they find expression through like things like fantasy or games or role playing, cosplaying. I think that and this is like a bit of transhumanism kind of field, but it's like I think moving towards the very near future, we will express ourselves with like an avatar version of ourselves. I think,
Right.
once we're all wearing, AR glasses, we can just choose our outfit and choose our appearance. Like the way you go into an online game and everybody's character is completely different, but then it throws away the standard of beauty at the same time. So I think there's potential for good, but age is a huge factor.
Mhm.
Listen, I work in media. We take a blemish out of somebody on a cover or that
Yeah.
thing. Like, but I think the constant barrage of having to post on social media and then having to filter yourself and create avatars and all that sort of stuff is just becoming way too much.
I think also like what the language we're using and the things that we're posting on social media and after, like how often do you see like get ready for your summer body and your holiday weight and this is my glow up, like look at before and look at my after. And it's like those kind of things I think are also reinforcing in social media as well. Um, where we know what or we suspect what's getting likes or we see what's popular. So then it's like, yes, look at, and then it makes those people feel good, of course, because it's like, wow. But then you have to remember who you're talking to in that before.
Yeah, there's a sad. Like, that's the thing. There's a sadness to the fact that we spend so much effort of our life trying to do all of this.
Well,
I
I
wish
mean,
we did. Yeah.
I like it's like the fact that we buy into black is slimming, right? And we wear black because it looks like we're
You're
slimmer
wearing
sometimes,
black
right?
shirt.
What? Hey! But I mean, it is, right? It's true. There's so much around that. And going back to the avatar thing, I love caricatures. I don't
Mhm.
mind the exaggeration because I know it's not me and it's fun. And I like using things like that. But when I start seeing people using AI generated images of themselves versus an actual
Yeah.
photo, that's where I kind of go like, oh, that's so not you because that head's never walking through the door. But I get that they are getting probably something from it. There's a dopamine that maybe kind of comes along with that, and they feel good about themselves when they see that. And when people react to it positively, they get that. And I'm like, that's the real balance that I feel bad about because yeah, it's I wish people knew really deep down. I wish we could, as a society, be more honest about that we don't care, that it's okay,
Mm.
and that we made people feel better about that. But
Oh,
but
I
we don't.
I think everybody is beautiful. Like
Yeah.
that's my opinion. Everybody's beautiful.
I'll
I,
remark and say I am famous, especially if they have like good hair and they've done something wild and crazy with it. I am famous for kind of going like, that is awesome. What you've done on like that says like you're like that's just so creative. I love when
this is
because I don't have a ton of it. So when people go wild and they do different colors and stuff, like I love that because it talks about their personality, but it doesn't matter. It's like they're doing something creative with their hair, and I love expressing that to them, but I would never ever say to them, it's like, oh, you look so good, you lost weight. Like, oh,
oh yeah.
And sometimes, sorry, I just want to jump in quick. And sometimes people will say like, "Oh, well, I'm just trying to pay you. I'm just trying to say a compliment and whatever." And first golden rule that always works is just don't say anything. But yeah, if
Mm.
you have like someone really close in your life or whatever, what we usually say in the community, and I've heard this before, and I don't speak for everyone, is you shouldn't comment on someone's appearance or someone's body unless you know the change they made was both safe and intentional.
Mm.
So like maybe it was like you said, oh, I really want to dye my hair blonde. I've been waiting for so long to dye my hair. Blah 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 blah. I'm going to the salon and get it dyed, and they do it. Then it's like, oh my gosh, your hair looks so good. I'm so happy. Blah blah blah. And that's still yes, a comment about their appearance, but you know that like that's something they wanted. It's something they expressed with you, and it was done safely. And like one of my friends is so into fitness. She is like so like she'll send me her meals and everything, and I know she's like doing it safely and she's working really hard and it makes her feel so good. So she'll send it to me and I'll be like, "That's awesome." Blah 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 blah. And it's like that's where we can let ourselves, yes, you want to pay a compliment. You want to be nice to your friends, tell them they look good. But it, like Anton was saying, it's just the language.
I usually go for clothes.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
the vibe.
yeah. Vibe.
Vibe is a good one, eh? I mean, when people have like, you don't even have to know them, but oh my God, you're carrying such a great energy about you, you know?
Speaking of that, and there's a couple of conversation starters that I really think we should hit on for the audience. But before we go from this kind of topic, the opposite to that, not the opposite, the attacks on people on their looks online. That and including famous people, including politicians. Like I fucking hate Trump, but I don't understand why would anybody comment about his weight or something. Like what I don't dislike you because of anything that has to do with your look. I dislike you because you're an evil asshole. So I think we really should separate that because people jump to attack women and anybody, but the easiest and cheapest shot is their look.
Sometimes I say it's also the dumbest shot.
Yeah.
I'm like,
This is dumb. Like,
to be a little funny, I'm like, can you come up with something more interesting? Like if somebody said, wow, you're actually none of your jokes hit and you're not a funny person, I would be like, so much more than if somebody says you're fat. I would be like, okay, like we get it. You're tall. Okay, can we move on? But yeah, I don't know. What were you saying? I got like really like I was like, so oh my gosh, let me just tell my joke.
No, this is totally.
It's kind of like the heckler who doesn't know how to heckle, and they go to a comedian and they think that they're going to drop this big, bomb on them. It's kind of like, oh God, that was sad. Your attempt at heckling somebody was so bad.
Yeah.
Why did you even bother? But in the case of like social media and stuff like that, I think a lot of people just we have a new kind of person out there who loves to hurt people simply because they can. And this is an anonymous way of doing it. And it's a horrible.
It's a horrible way.
It's horrible.
I don't usually stop it, but I was in that mood yesterday where somebody commented on somebody because they had like a beauty mark or not a birthmark or something, and I had to drop a comment and say, seriously, like the person seems like a wonderful person. I don't know them. Seems like a wonderful person. They're talking about art or something, and that's where you went to.
And I think as creators, we have to take like for myself, I was posting a lot during 2020 COVID time, and I was doing a lot of fat liberation content, and you have to sometimes let it go for your mental health in the way where I was fighting with people for so long. I was sending articles and I was citing my sources and whatever. And eventually I went, these people are doing this to be hateful. They're not doing this to gain a perspective.
Yeah.
I had people like, it was all on TikTok, and I had people who would go into my Instagram, find my Instagram, follow me on Instagram, send me a DM saying that I was gross or whatever.
Oh my God.
And it's just like, I don't have the time.
You have a life?
Don't have the time. And it's almost like, yes, we want to like tell them what they did wrong. We want them to understand. But I had to like sit with myself and go like, the people who are ready to be educated and who want to learn are going to watch this talk show, and they're going to like reach out when they have questions, and it's not my job to educate the people who are trying to hurt me.
Yeah, there's yeses, there's nos, and there's maybes. You can change the yes, you can get the yeses and the maybes, but don't bother with the nos. It's block, delete, block, delete.
I'm gonna ask us each, there's 4 points. Let's see what we can say. What does real confidence look like beyond appearance? Kenny.
Oh my God, that's so hard. I think that's dependent upon each individual person too, and what breaks down their confidence. For me, confidence is, being able to keep going, even though everybody else may be telling you, a story, but you believe in it, and you're okay that maybe it's not going to be the right, or it's not going to turn out some way, but there's a passion there behind it, and you're kind of going to have to, maneuver around some things. And I think it depends. I think it's really, it's episodic, or it depends on the situation, but it certainly isn't. It's easier for me to tell you what it isn't. And it isn't this person, the way that they're dressed, the way that they walk, the way that they present themselves. We're sold that, like, if at any kind, and not to bag on this person too hard, but because I could go off and off and off, but like, everybody thinks Law Roach is incredibly confident, but Law Roach uses their ability. And if Discord Adams is talking about it right now, all about drag, to break other people down. And to me, that's not confidence. That's just, you using your position to belittle other people. But people will say they're so confident because of how they speak and how they approach. And I'm like, I don't see that as confidence. I think that is, if anything, the opposite of confidence.
I'll say for myself, what I do, my work, anything that it's your contribution to the world that's it counts more. Anybody wants to hit that?
Sure, I'll hit it real quick. I just wrote down, I was like, while you were typing, I was like, confidence is knowing what you want and believing in it.
Oh, I love that.
That is for me.
Yeah.
I remember I was talking to my therapist about, like, oh, I want to talk to my friend about this thing in our relationship that's bothering me, but I don't want her to take it the wrong way. And she said, but what do you think will happen? I said, I'm scared she's gonna get upset with me or think I'm being mean to her. And she's like, well, are you? And I was like, well, no. And she's like, well, then what's your intent? And I was like, well, my intent is to, like, talk it out and repair it. And I felt so confident because I was like, I am leaning with, this is what I want, this is what I believe in. And that goes into, like, hairstyle. And, like, you see people out in the street and I'm like, you see someone, you're like, oh, I want to wear that. And it's like, because they know what they want and they believe in it.
Yeah. There's a song, Meek, Fabulous, that I can't stop listening to these days.
So good.
Song. To me, that is like the answer to all of that. I look fabulous. Fuck everything else. How do we support each other outside of looks? We're all silent.
I don't know, because that's assuming that I support people because of their looks, and I don't. But
yeah, okay, sure.
I think that, going back to what Cameron was saying, is believing in the people too, right? And supporting them by saying, not tearing them down, but helping them if they're, trying to figure a way through it, and helping them with tools to be able to make right decisions and chase their dreams. And you know what? It's one of those things that I would rather see. I'm not worried about myself, but I would rather see somebody else succeed, knowing they're so passionate about something, even if it means me giving up something that I'm trying to do because they're so passionate about it, and recognizing that. I would rather do that and support them that way.
Jump in, hosts.
I think definitely, like, inviting yourself into other people's experiences and spaces, and just really, I think that's the number one way you can support anybody, is to understand them. And you can never go far enough to fully understand somebody. So I think it makes them feel confident for sure.
And don't stop trying to understand too. I think that is, like, the learning. There's always something to learn about others, about yourself, about the world. So, yeah.
2 more topics or conversation starters. What does it mean to feel good in your own body? I'm gonna jump in. It took me a long time to get to that point, that I'm at a point where I don't care what anybody else thinks. I had to work very, very hard on feeling good in my own body. So
Yeah, for me, it's a lot about I feel healthy, regardless of if I have weight on me or muscle, or it's just that I feel healthy. I feel like, yeah, I'm feeling good today. It doesn't matter if I've got, I'm dragging a couple of extra pounds behind me or whatnot, that kind of thing. I
fantastic.
feel good. I feel healthy, and I feel, that's for me what it is.
Cameron, Nuepa.
Yeah. I think being in like a marginalized body, it also took me a long time. I like was always a chubby kid, fat teenager, fat woman, proud to say it.
Oh, that
But
was
I leaned into the liberation. I've always told, I tell this to my sister a lot. I was like, I just faked being confident at the beginning, and then eventually it just worked.
yes,
It just became me.
yes. That's it.
And that leans into my liberation. When I was able to feel liberated, I was like, oh my God, I can just do it. I can just do it myself. I can just be confident and love my body and feel free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that, but yes, exactly. When I say that, like the taking off my shirt and dancing on the dance floor, or whatever, that was faking it a bit. I'm like, yeah, I'm confident now, but eventually that confidence seep inside, and you become confident. Yes, I could totally agree with that.
And you do it and the world doesn't explode. Like you're like, oh my gosh, I could never like take my shirt off in a club and dance freely. And you do it, and then you're like, oh my God,
Nothing happened.
nothing happens.
Exactly.
I think as adults, we forget that a lot. Like we forget that we don't know everything, and we have to push at least one foot into the unknown. Because when you're kids and you're babies, you grow so much as a child. It seems like such profound growth. And then there's this feeling of life slowing down, and you're like of the perception of age and all these things that contribute to your own image of yourself. But when you are realize like I want to be well into my 60s and 70s and still doing ish. I don't know if I can say the S word. That I have no idea what I'm doing, trying sports, languages, different styles of music, like being a beginner's mindset, like in the unknown. That's where the magic is.
And that's all it is, baby. Yes.
I think too, as you get older, you let go of some stuff as you do get older, because you know what becomes more important to you is a lot of the real concrete stuff. And some of we carry, I think that we go to the grave still with hang-ups. I think we always will. I think that's just ingrained in us. But I think as we get older too, we let go of some of the other things that maybe don't, we don't want to hold on to as much, or we try to at least.
Yeah. And lastly, before we go to a break, what do we want to see more in our community?
Puppies.
We
Puppies.
wanted some attention. Beside me. Yeah. I want to see more uplifting one another and less judgment.
I'll be really specific. I want to see I want to see more acceptance of bodies without labels, because there's so many times where I find people are like, "Oh, you're a bear." I'm like, "Well, I guess by your definition, sure," but like I could also just be a guy. Like I just happen to have weight on me. I just happen to be a little hairy. So sue me. Portuguese being a crime, like put me in jail. But like, yeah, I don't know. Just less boxes and more like good boxes, if you know what I mean.
I think otter and bear and whatever, some people look for that to belong to a certain group.
Which can be good. Yeah, I agree.
If that's what, if that's what feels good. But I don't think you should decide where that person belongs to, kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I also don't think women do this much to each other in the sense of that kind of labels of creating that as much, maybe. And I don't know, Cameron, you can speak to this more than I can. It just seems that there's so much more that women have pressure that they don't let that kind of stuff become the focal point, I guess. But then on the other side, there is a lot of tearing down as well in different communities. So it's just, I don't know why we need to have something that explains somebody. It's like they're this person. They are this person. This is their name. Here's where they're from.
I think it started as, yes, like the identity for ourselves. And I feel like there's, as like a neurodiverse person, I feel a lot of identity with like my diagnoses and stuff like that. And yes, in my queerness, but I think those boxes were used to like explain to the cis straight community. It's like, oh, well, this is what this is, and this is what this is. And yes, those help us understand each other more. But then we get into, I'm a STEM and I'm also femme, but I'm also this and this and this and this, when it's just like, like you're saying, I'm just me. And then we have all these different boxes when, if we're talking, when I said about neurodiverse and the autism spectrum, we used to think of it like this. And then now we think of it as the wheel, where it's just like, it's this whole big thing. And you can be anywhere in here. You can be 5 places in here. It's not this like, so that's where I see the same thing with the beauty standards and the queer community, where it's like, why does it have to be this end and this end when it's like, we're this huge spectrum of people? And you know what? There are some people out there where we will never find words to describe who they are, because they are just more all-encompassing than words could ever even say.
Prince. Prince, you're talking about Prince.
Yes.
This was a fantastic dive in, methinks. Let's take a little break and we'll be right back. Everyone, don't go anywhere.
Last forever, sharing the stories for better.
يا غريب كنت زيك في يوم الخوف ما يغلب القلب يدوم.
Tell the stranger their relief is near. Tell the stranger that dawn is here.
Bunch are back, and what a conversation that was! Holy crap! We went. It was emotional, and it was very insightful. What are we feeling about this? What do we want people to take away from this conversation?
Beauty standards shrink when our community expands.
Wow! Did you just think of that?
I wrote it down earlier.
I love it. Brilliant.
Stealing right now.
Kenney, Nuepa, any thoughts?
I think what I would love people to take away is be kinder to yourself. Really, I think that seems like such a cliche these days, but it's really, really true that you don't allow outside influences to negatively impact your vision of who you are. Think about the things you want to accomplish, the things that you are doing, the things that you are great at, the things that you want to become great at, the things you want to learn. It's okay that you don't know everything, but you want to learn and expand yourself more. Think about those things. Don't worry about sizes. Don't worry about, other people's impressions that way. And surround yourself with people who are gonna love you for you, and no matter what shape, form, screech you want to make. It's there's so much uniqueness in individuals that don't discount yourself. Never discount yourself, and be kind to yourself.
Nuepa.
Yeah. I would say those are some good ones to follow. I would say your visibility is such a superpower. and speaking out about who you are, what you believe, at your intersections. That's hugely important. But as well, if you need to rest and if you don't want to be visible, that's okay too. That radical acceptance. Rest if you need to. Just don't stop.
Love. Antoine?
Yeah, I don't even know. How do I really follow? Do you, be you, you're fabulous. I really think that the topic is bigger than all of us. We are controlled by so much in society and so bombarded by media and social media and all of that sort of stuff. Try to break through all of that somehow. I don't know. Like we all have to have our journey and figure out how we're gonna break out of all this pressure that is put on us by society. Because if we manage to, I'm pretty sure that it would be a fucking sweet life if you manage to not pay attention to all of that and just do you. Cameron, you were a fantastic co-host. Come back and see us.
I'd love to.
Uh,
And yeah, I was just gonna say, and everybody remember that all the people on the panel and everybody here, that we don't represent everyone and we want everybody's input. So tell us how the beauty standards are affecting you, and yeah, we
Again,
want everybody in the community.
we're gonna have our chance because in when the episode drops, just remember if you're watching it on the Monday that it drops, we're gonna be on TikTok on the Pink Pages directory platform discussing and expanding on all of this. So we will see you then. Have yourself a really fantastic time from the Queer Bunch hosts. We love you.